Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to install Android Studio in our system. So once your download is completed, you will get this file. This is the Android Studio exe file. The size of this file is, you can see that 947 MB, and it's the Android Studio version 3.3.00. So I'm going to double click on this file to launch my installation of the Android Studio. So you can see that it's verifying the installer. So you can see that a dialog box will pop up. So now you need to click on the next button. Then again you need to click on next. So space required is 2.6 GB if you are using a Android virtual device, and if you don't need Android virtual device, then you need 1.6 GB free disk space. So total disk space that Android Studio needed is 2.6, but maybe later on it requires more space because we are going to create a virtual emulator, and also we need to download some build tools, some instant RAM, and also Intel HAXM, that is hardware acceleration, something like that, which is used to install the application faster and also run the application faster. Also you need to enable the virtualization in your BIOS. If you are using a Windows platform, or if you are in a Mac or Linux, then you need to figure out this thing by your own, because right now I have only two systems, that both systems are Windows based. So you need to figure out how you need to enable virtualization in your BIOS, means in your motherboard BIOS. The process is almost different in every system. That's why I don't make a video of them, how to enable the virtualization. Just you need to figure out the virtualization. Otherwise, if you don't enable the virtualization, then you can't able to create a virtual emulator in your system. So most of the AMD devices doesn't have a capability to enable or disable the virtualization. Means some of the system doesn't have the capability to run virtual emulators. Like I have an Acer laptop and it's running on a Windows 10 and it doesn't have any functionality to enable the virtualization. So on that system I'm not able to use a virtual emulator. But in this system I'm able to use a virtual emulator because it's an Intel based system. If you want to run virtual emulator, so make sure you enable virtualization in your system. If the virtualization is not available in your system, means there is no way to enable the virtualization, then you can't use the virtual device. So you need to do what? You just need to uncheck this option. So that's the information that I want to share in this video. And now let's proceed with the installation of our Android Studio. So simply click on this next button. Then it will ask you where you want to place the installation file of your Android Studio. So I'm going to leave it in the defaults. Then hit a next button. Then again hit a install button. So now Android Studio is installing in our system. You can click on the show details, or you can see that. So I'm going to fast forward this video so that you don't need to watch the boring stuff. Then I will be continuing the video. Now you can see that the installation of Android Studio is completed successfully. So just click on this next button to proceed further, and from here when you click on this finish button, then Android Studio will launch. So make sure the checkbox is checked. So I'm going to click on this finish button. Now you can see that our Android Studio welcome screen is launched. So before moving forward, make sure your system is connected with the internet, means you have internet functionality in your system. Otherwise the installation process of the Android Studio will not be. So just simply click on this next button, and from there you need to choose the installation type. So I'm going to select the custom type because I want to change the default directory of the installation of the Android SDK and also some APIs tools also. So if you click on the standard, then it will be installed the Android Studio in the default location, that the settings provided by the Android developer team. So I'm going to select the custom radio button, means to check on this custom option, and just going to hit on the next key. Then from there you need to select a one theme. So either you can choose a Darkula theme or a IntelliJ default theme. So I'm going to use the IntelliJ default theme, then hit a next button. Now from there it will, in this window all the SDK components are displayed. So I'm also want to install a Android virtual device. So I'm going to check it because I have already enabled the virtualization in my BIOS system, and the process of the BIOS system I have already told you it's different in every system. So you need to figure out the process of the virtualization, means how to enable the virtualization in your system by going into the BIOS of your motherboard, and you can also contact with the manufacturer of your BIOS. Also, I want to change the Android SDK location because right now it is in a default location. See users Vijay app data local Android SDK folder. So I'm going to click on this option, that is this folder icon, and just click on it. A dialog box will pop up. Inside of this dialog box, I'm going to specify the directory. So I'm going to click on this F directory, and here I have already created a folder of name Android SDK for Dino Code Academy. So I'm going to select this folder and click on this OK button. So now it's loading. So you can see that the default SDK location I have changed it into my own location, because in my default location I have very less space. So and the SDK will be increased when you are updating Android Studio regularly. Also you need different kinds of API. Once you download different build tools, then the size of the Android SDK increases. So in my C drive I have very less space, so that's why I changed it to the another location. You can leave the standard option and Android Studio will does the whole thing for you. You don't need to do this thing, but I am going to show you how to customize the installation of the Android Studio, so that in future if you want, then you can do it by yourself. You don't need to depend on the others developers video, because in this course I want to show all the things that is necessary to make you competent in Android development, so you can develop and figure out the problems by your own. Now just click on this next button so to proceed the installation of our Android Studio, and also make sure you are connected with the internet. So here you need to specify the RAM of your virtual device. So right now it is using a 2 GB, so I'm going to give it is more RAM. So I'm going to give it a just like 4 GB so that it runs more faster, because right now in my system I have 12 GB of RAM. So 6 GB of RAM is used by the Android Studio itself and other softwares if you are using, because Windows is a heavy operating system as compared to Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 or Windows 8. Windows 10 is little heavy, and also it's updated regularly after the anniversary update. So that's why I'm specifying 4 GB of RAM. If your RAM is not enough, means you have less RAM, then you can actually reduce the RAM size, but I am just giving the 4 GB RAM to my virtual emulator. Then I'm going to click on this next button. Now in this screen you can see all the different kinds of system that this software is going to download. So you can see that Android emulator is 258 MB and the list goes on. Also the type of the installation is custom, and I have specified the directory of the SDK folder to have Android Studio, means Android SDK for Dino Code Academy. Then simply click on this finish button. So the downloading of our Android components is started. So it will actually depends upon the internet speed. So right now it will take time because it's approximately it will download more than 1 GB, means approximate it will download 2 GB of data. So it will take time. So I'm going to continue the video again so that you don't want to watch the boring stuff. So here you can see that the downloading of all the component is done successfully. Right now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on this finish button. So this is the welcome screen of the Android Studio, and you can see that the version of the Android Studio is 3.3.1. So at the time of the recording of this course, this is the latest version of the Android Studio, and these figures in future maybe become old, and it's a true, means after some time Google releases a new Android Studio version. This is the latest version right now. So I'm going to start with a new project. So for starting a new project, we need to click on this first option. If you want to open an existing project, then you need to select the second option. And there are other lots of options available, so you can check out by your own. So I'm going to click on this start a new Android Studio project and simply click on it. So you can see there the another dialog box open. So from there you need to select activity. So in Android you have lots of activity. There is a native C++ activity, there is a scrolling activity, tab activity, login activity, and there is bunch of other activities are there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the empty activity. This is the most favorite activity of the developers, and developers are used empty activity mostly. So I'm going to click next. Then here you can specify your application name. So I'm going to specify my application name as my first app. Then you need to specify your package name, that is your company domain name. So I'm going to type Dino Code Academy. Then you need to set the location of your project. So I'm going to click on this because I want to change it to the another location. I don't want to save it in the default location. So I'm going to click on this folder icon, and from there I'm going to navigate it to Dino Code Academy project folder and hit OK. So you can see that it gives us a warning: Dino Code Academy projects already exist at the specified project location. So here I'm going to hit a slash key and I'm going to name it as first app. Then the language I'm going to choose Java, because right now there are two types of languages used in Android Studio for creating the application. The first is Java, the second is Kotlin. So in this course I am using Java. So maybe in upcoming courses I will be using Kotlin. Now from there you need to set the minimum API level. So I'm going to set the minimum API level, that is 25, which is no good. Now here it shows us your app will run on approximately 14.2% of the devices. Now you can click on this link, that is help me choose API level. So when you click on this, you will get to prompt with this dialog box. So you can see that here are a list of API levels that you can use for the development of your application. So I'm going to click OK. So I'm going to select the API level 25, that is no good, because right now I have a physical device that running a API 25, that is no good 7.1.1, and I'm also creating a virtual emulator of Android Pie, which we will be covering up in our upcoming lecture. So this project will support instant apps and use Android X artifacts. So I'm going to explain these things in the upcoming lectures. Just for right now, uncheck all these options because I'm going to cover all of these two options in my upcoming lectures. So just can simply click on this finish button. Then it will download some components and you can see that it's done. Then hit a finish key. Make sure you have actually connected with the internet, otherwise you will be prompted with the error, or maybe the process will not be completed for creating of the first Android Studio project. So you can see that this is the launching window. Now Android Studio creating a project for us. So right now you are seeing that what's new in 3.3. It shows you different kinds of, because it has a navigation editor that is used to create the navigation applications. So this is a diagrammatical view that you can use to create the navigation of the application more quickly. So just simply click on this assistant, so it will be closed. Now the processing is still going on, so I'm going to maximize it to the full window screen. Now first time when you create the projects in Android Studio, it will take little time. So here you can see that it's downloading a Gradle distribution 4.10.1. Now Gradle is necessary to sync the projects quickly. So it is downloading a latest Gradle, so it will take time. So I'm going to pause the video, then I will be continue the video again, so that you don't need to watch the boring stuff. Now you can see that the project is created successfully. So I'm going to click on this option, that is this sign, so that to hide this window. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this app little arrow to expand this. Then again click on this Java, and again this is the first package. So this is the main activity which is used to code the all Java files. And I'm going to click on this rest directory and expand this layout file, and this is our activity main.xml file in which we actually done the all designing of our application. Now in Android we actually design by using XML language. Then all the coding is done inside the Java, means the functionality, means the logical thinking, whatever we want to do, we will do all these things in main activity.java. And if you are using Kotlin, then you will does all the things inside of the Kotlin, but the XML will remain same. So this is the design editor, that is a blueprint, and this is our design in which you can see that right now we have only a one UI element, that is called text view. So if I place a one button, then that will be a view. Then we have image view, then we have recycler view. So this is the most common one that we use most frequently while developing the application. Now from there you can select landscape mode if you want to create the application in a landscape mode, and then again switch back to portrait mode if you want to create the application in a portrait mode. Then there are a bunch of other options like night mode, UI mode, create landscape variation, create tablet variation, and create other. So these are the options that you can directly use to create the application in a different variation of sizes. Then from there you can select the device screen size. So right now it is a 5.0 1080 to 920 420 dpi pixel device. So you can select larger one if you want to build the application for the larger device, or you can select the 5.2, even you can select the tablet, and you can see that the changes happen in the layout of the editor, means the design editor, and you can select the default one, that is 5.0. Then here you can see that the API level is 28, automatically pick best for this device, means this, that is a pixel device, can run API 28. So you can automatically pick the best one, so it will automatically pick the best one, that is a 28. So here you can see that the Gradle scripts that is used to sync the project, and Gradle actually does all the hard work for us, means the management of the project, we also managing the dependencies and APIs. So there are only 2 files that we consider mostly. The rest of them are also important, but I am not going to cover in this course these files, because these are not for the beginners, these are for advanced developers. So this is the project level Gradle file, in which you can see that the build.gradle is 3.3.1. Now at this point, all these things are not understandable to you. This is because you are a beginner, and this course is for the beginner to advanced. So after day by day, your knowledge will be increased, then you will came to know about what are the meaning of all of the things. Then there is another build.gradle file, that is a module app. So here you can see that the compiled SDK version is 28, and the minimum SDK version that I have specified while creating this project is 25. And then you can see the bunch of other types of code, that is build types, and here we add lots of dependencies. So right now it has 2 dependencies for testing, that is Espresso, and the other is a spot testing dependency. Then there is a spot app compact, and there is another called spot constraint layout dependency, that is this dependency is used for constraint layout. And right now if I switch back to the design view, that is activity main.xml file, so you can see that here is a constraint layout. So for constraint layout, this dependency is used, that is constraint layout 1.1.3. Also we have another file that is mainly concerned while developing the application, that is manifest. So this manifest file is actually, you can see that it's actually a supervisor that contains all the information about the application, means the launcher icon, means the theme that the application use, that right now it is a style/app theme, what are the different kinds of activities present inside the application, and what will be the launcher activity of the application. So also you can see that here is a IC launcher icon. So let me show you where this icon exists. So you can simply click on this map directory, and here you can see that the IC launcher 6. So right now IC launcher is here, and you can see that the round icon is used, that is IC launcher round icon. So this is all about the overview of all the files that is used inside the Android Studio. So it's time to run the application so that we can see whether we are able to see the hello world inside our emulator or not. So I'm going to click on this button, that is the run button. So here you can see that I have got an error. So this is because I disconnect my internet connection. So I'm going to first connect my internet connection, then I will be try to fix this error. So I'm going to minimize my virtual emulator, let me first connect my internet, and then I will be again click on this link to fix the problem. Now I have connected the internet to my system, so I'm going to click on this enable Gradle offline plugin. So I'm just going to click on this so that it will fix the problem for me. And again I'm going to click on this run button because my emulator is boots up, and you can see that now my physical device, that is Xiaomi Redmi 4, which is running a API level 25, that having an Android version Nougat 7.1.2. So instead of running into physical device, I'm going to run into my virtual emulator, that is 5x API, that is Nexus 5x API 28. So I'm going to click OK. So here you can see that our application is up and running. So congratulations, you have run your first application successfully. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.